Welcome to Gas Ed. Today we will be discussing the results from 100 hours of testing ClaudeBot against Claude Code, comparing their real-world strengths and weaknesses. Honestly, if you're trying to figure out how to actually integrate AI into your business operations right now without getting totally overwhelmed, you're in the exact right place. Okay, let's dive right into this head-to-head business case study. In this explainer, we're going to cover meet the AI contenders, setup, cost and usability, power versus security risks, actual return on investment, and finally, the final verdict. So, Section 1, meet the AI contenders. Let's define these tools. Now, it's worth noting that both of these tools actually share the exact same underlying brain, the incredibly impressive Opus 4.5 model, but their architecture's totally different. First up, we have Claude Code. You can really think of this tool as a hyper-focused, incredibly capable local assistant for your development environment. It literally lives directly inside your terminal or your developer tools like VS Code. Its one main job is to help you read, write, and fix code right there on your local machine. It's a very structured companion, specifically designed to keep your developers focused and efficient. Then on the flip side, we have ClaudeBot, which, by the way, just recently rebranded to Maltbot. This one operates much more like an always-on executive assistant. So instead of living on your local machine, it actually lives out on a server. It connects straight to messaging apps like Telegram, it monitors your emails, checks your calendar, and frankly, it just executes tasks autonomously 24/7. And you know, this brilliantly illustrates our first major metric, out-of-the-box ability. ClaudeBot actually takes an early lead here, scoring a massive 9 out of 10. Why? Well, because the very second you start chatting with it, it asks you questions, it learns about your business, and it uses persistent memory. It really feels like you're interacting with a real proactive employee. Claude Code, on the other hand, comes in with a 7. It definitely has a steeper initial learning curve for non-technical users, and it really requires very specific prompting to extract its full value. Moving right along to Section 2, setup, cost, and usability. The real practical business metrics. So the crucial takeaway in this breakdown is the absolute stark contrast in logistics. Claude Code completely dominates when it comes to setup friction, earning an 8 out of 10. You just install an extension and boom, you're off. ClaudeBot only gets a 6 because it literally requires working in the terminal, managing a virtual private server, and handling Docker deployments. It's a lot. But for everyday usability, ClaudeBot completely flips the script and wins with a 9. You can literally text it from bed using Telegram, whereas Claude Code kind of keeps you chained to your coding terminal. But what about that middle metric, cost? Well, Claude Code operates on a highly predictable, flat-rate monthly subscription. You know exactly what you're paying every time. ClaudeBot is open source and free to install, sure, but you have to pay for the server and the API usage yourself, and you really got to be aware of those hidden costs. During our 100-hour test, using ClaudeBot intensively for just one single day burned through roughly 80 million API tokens. That resulted in a total surprise $80 bill. If you aren't super careful, an open source tool can become incredibly expensive very quickly. All right, Section 3, power versus security risks, or as we like to call it, evaluating the blast radius. This brings us to a classic tech trade-off, right? Balancing incredible automation power against catastrophic security vulnerabilities. Let's look at raw power first. ClaudeBot earns a perfect 10 here. I mean, it has sweeping access to your entire digital life, your calendar, your email, your social media. It can act completely on your behalf. Claude Code gets a 7. It is highly powerful, absolutely, but it's completely restricted to the local folders and files you specifically point it to. But as we all know in business, sweeping access means a massive blast radius if the AI makes a mistake or worse, gets hijacked. And that brings us to a huge differentiator, security. Because ClaudeBot relies on those external servers, misconfigurations are incredibly common and highly dangerous. In fact, security researchers recently found over 900 ClaudeBot servers left wide open to the public without any password protection whatsoever. This meant literally anyone could access months of private chat histories and highly sensitive API keys. Because of this massive vulnerability, ClaudeBot scores a pretty dismal 3 out of 10 on security, compared to Claude Code's much safer, locally contained score of 7. This security risk is exactly why the open source creator of the tool actually issued a really stark warning. They explicitly stated that this is an experimental, hobby project, not a finished, enterprise-ready solution. Listen, if you are not a power user who thoroughly understands how to secure ports and manage API keys safely, you are taking a massive gamble. Which perfectly sets up Section 4, actual ROI. proven value versus the hype. Let's shift gears from those theoretical risks and look at the actual return on investment. It is so easy to get caught up in cool, futuristic demos on social media, right? But what is actually moving the needle for businesses today? For Claude Code, we have a year of hard receipts. The data shows it demonstrably speeds up project delivery by 10 to 30%. But even more impressively, nearly a quarter of the work produced with it consists of extra features and bug fixes that development teams simply wouldn't have had the bandwidth to build otherwise. It is a proven, undeniable productivity multiplier. Now compare that to Claudebot. Because Claudebot is barely a few weeks old in its current form, its ROI remains purely conceptual. Don't get me wrong, it has an incredible ambient presence. It feels absolutely amazing to know you have an AI working while you sleep, but it currently lacks the proven enterprise receipts for massive, reliable time savings or direct revenue generation. So Claude Code takes a major win in this category, 8.5 to 6. And finally, Section 5, the final verdict. Let's look at the scores and the audience match. After 100 hours of pretty grueling testing, looking at the final tally, Claude Code secures the overall victory with 51.5 points. It really pulled ahead thanks to its proven security, its cost efficiency, and highly documented ROI. Claudebot trails closely behind at 49 points, largely carried by its unmatched accessibility, proactive nature, and undeniably futuristic feel. So what's your ideal match? Well, if you fall into one of these categories, software engineers, technical founders, data professionals, or even non-coders who are willing to get just a little uncomfortable to learn a new interface, and your primary goal is to safely and reliably ship real features or products, Claude coding is absolutely your best daily driver. On the other hand, Claudebot's ideal customer profile is strictly for power users. If you are an indie hacker or an automation nerd who is highly comfortable configuring virtual private servers, managing open ports, and carefully navigating real privacy risks, then Claudebot offers a genuinely fascinating sandbox to automate your life. I want to leave you with this final thought. Think about it. 6 months ago, most of what we just explored wasn't even possible. A year from now, it will be completely transformed again. The businesses that actually win the AI race aren't the ones waiting around for flawless, perfectly easy tools. They are the ones breaking things, learning, and experimenting right now to stay ahead of the curve. So, are you going to wait, or are you going to start experimenting today? That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.